Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of our 30 days of code challenge. I feel excited to have you here with me, and I hope you are also excited to dive right into the world of programming. So today we will be starting with the basics of HTML. Okay. So the HTML will serve as the framework where we'll be building our web pages and our websites. The CSS is going to serve as the design source that we are going to use to style, to add design, that we are going to use to decorate our web page. The JavaScript is going to help us to add functionality to our web pages. JavaScript that will enable our web page to be able to perform a specific function that we desire. So we structure it using the HTML, we design web pages using the CSS, and then we add functionality to web pages using CSS. Okay, let's dive right in and see how it's being done. I want to share my screen. Very good. So in my 30 days of code directory, I'm going to create a folder for today, which is going to be day 2. Very good. So I just created the day 2 folder. Oh, a day 2 folder. Very good. So in this day 2 folder, I want to create 3 files. I want to create our HTML file. I want to create the CSS file. I also want to create the JavaScript file. So today we are going to be designing a profile card. So I'm just going to call the name of the card. So the first one I'm going to call card.html. It is very important to end it with .html because that is what will enable our code editor to know that we want to create an HTML file. So you have to end it with .html. So apart from that, I'm going to create card.css. Also, ending it with .css is what will enable the code editor to know that this is a CSS file. And then the last but not the least is the card.js. So that's the JavaScript file that we are going to use to add functionality to our web page. Now let's start with the HTML. So I'm going to click on exclamation mark, then tab. So clicking on exclamation mark and tab will give us the standard structure for HTML. And the standard structure for HTML, as you can see, it begins with a doc type HTML. So the doc type HTML is simply telling the code editor that we want to use the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5. So that is what the doc type HTML is for. The HTML lang en, which is on the second line, as you can tell from the lang, is telling the code editor that it wants to code in English. So it's going to be using English. So that will make it easy for search engine optimization. Also, under the head elements, we have some meta cassettes UCF acronym 8. So what this means is that we can use different characters, such as the @ such as the $sign, using of characters. This is what enables us to be able to use characters in our HTML. So this is the viewport, which has to do with the device width, that is the screen, the width of my device. Then we have the title, which is the document. This is an interesting part. Now, one thing is, everything that we have under the head elements will not be displayed on the web page, but whatever you have in the head elements serves as instructor for the web page. So all these elements that we have under the head elements, they tell the web page what to do and how to behave. So this title is telling the web page, or this is our way of adding a title to our web page. If you are creating a website, what is the name of the website? What is this supposed to do? What are you expecting, or what do you want the web page to showcase? So this is where you add your title. So for today, my title is going to be profile card, because today we want to create a profile card using using HTML. So now let's dive right in to the body. But just before then, we want to link our CSS to the HTML. So how do we link our CSS file, which is currently empty, to our HTML file? How do we link CSS to HTML? How do we link JavaScript to HTML? We link my phone. We link CSS to HTML using the head element. So it is under the head that we're going to create a link element. That's my screen. Oh, thank you. Oh, sorry, you can't see my screen. Let me quickly adjust that. Let me stop sharing and then let me share again. Very good. So now you can see my screen. So they want to link our CSS file to our HTML file. So what we have to do is that we have to create a non-closing link element. So link and then we close it. So in this link, we are going to have the rel is equal to style sheet. So these are a way of telling the code editor that the CSS is a style sheet to card.css. So with this, we have successfully linked our CSS file to our HTML file. After linking the CSS to the HTML, the next thing is to link our JavaScript file to the HTML file. CSS is linked to the HTML file using the head elements, but JavaScript file is linked to the HTML file using the body elements. So it is in the body elements that you are going to create another element known as script. This is a closing element. So notice that the moment I clicked on the greater than sign, we have this closing tag. So this is the opening tag script, and this is the closing tag with the /. So in the opening tag, we are going to have src, which is the source. That's where is the source of this JavaScript that I want to link. So the source is going to be file. So the next thing we have to do now is that we have to start working. Let me share my screen again. So I told you earlier on that we want to create a profile card, which is going to serve like a complimentary card or something that showcases your name and what you do. So now let's create a div file, or let's create a div element, div. Very good. So what is a div element? A div element is an element that enables us to partition, or that enables us to enclose whatever we are doing in our web pages. It is our way of organizing our codes, our programs, or the elements that we have in our web pages so that we keep them well structured. So now we just created a div element. In this div element, and a header file, and then we are going to have a paragraph element. But for you to see what I'm doing, I just want to click on go live. Very good. This is our our web page. As you can see from the title, profile card. So for now, it is empty. We don't have anything on the web page. So I'm going to minimize. I'm going to minimize this now. Very good. So now whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm coding, I want to be seeing it in my web page. So this will enable me to do so. So now in the div element, we are going to create an header. That is a head element. That will be h1. Close it. I want to my name. So that will be Festus Works. And as you can see, almost immediately you have my name on the web page. So that is my name, Festus Works. Now what do I do? My profession, that will be paragraph P. That's going to be front end web developer. So you can now see my name and you can also see the profession, web developer. Now I want to make this a little bit more stylish. I want to add an image to it. So for me to add the image, conventionally, I'm going to paste an image here. So let me copy an image from my file. And then I'm just going to paste the image, copy. So I just successfully copied and pasted my image into the day2 file, into the day2 folder, sorry. So I don't want to view this image here. I'm going to cancel. Very good. So now I want to introduce my image into my web page element. To create an image element, all I do is the less than sign, then img. So the img, then close brackets. So the image element is a non-closing element that allows you to add images to your web page. Now with this img, all I have to do now is just to specify the source of the image. Where is this image located? In the src, that's the source, is equal to, so what is the name of the image? im.jpg. Now wait for it. As you can see, let me open my browser. As you can see on my browser now, we now have my image. But this image is taking up almost all the spaces in my browser. So if I scroll up, you can now see my name, which is the header element. You can also see the front end web developer, which is the paragraph element. So we have the image, we have the header, we have the paragraph. But this image is a little bit too big and it's taking up a whole lot of space. What do we do to maximize our space, or how do we prevent our image from taking up so much space? Let me minimize this. Very good. So all we have to do is to add a class to the image file. So add a class to the image file. We say class is equal to, let me call the image avatar. So class is equal to avatar. So now let's go to our CSS file. Remember that our HTML file is like our framework. So in this HTML file, we have added the image, we have added the name, we have added the profession. Now I want to add some designs to it. It's using this file. So in my CSS file, I'm going to have .avatar. So this .avatar is referring to the class name avatar, which is the class name of the image. Now, what do I want to do to this image? The first thing I want to do is that I want to minimize it so that it won't be taking up a lot of space, or all those spaces. So to do that, I want to attribute a specific height to it and a specific width. Let's start with the height. I want this image height to be 150 pixels, 150 px. Wow, can you see that? So for my big image, I now have an image that's what that optimizes our space. So I can now comfortably see the image. I can now see my name. I can also see the profession. So that's what we have in the height. Let me also adjust the width, width, the width. I want the width to also be 150. Very good. So we now have an height. We also have what? We also have a width. Now let's go back to this HTML file. One thing I want to tell you about this HTML file is that this header element where I have my name, Festus Works, it is not compulsory for you to write my name here. You can always write your name or any other preferred name here. So these header elements can contain also any of the profession that you prefer here in this paragraph element. Also, you can add your image or any image that you downloaded. Then remember to add a class to the image so we'll be able to style the image comfortably. So now, since we have the image very well seated now, let's go back to what we had earlier, the div element. The image, it contains the name, it contains the paragraph. I want to distinguish my div elements from the remaining body of the web page. How do I do that? There are a lot of ways you can do this. You can do this by adding class to the div. You can do this by adding ID to the div. But for now, I'm going to attribute an ID to the div. So I'm going to give this div an identification or ID of profile. So whenever we call on the ID of profile, my code editor knows that I'm referring to the div which contains both the image, the name, and the profession. So ID is equal to profile. So let me style my profile now using CSS. Remember earlier I said if you want to style the class, use style and ID, we have to make use of the hash sign. So that will be hash profile. Background color, and I want the background color to be light blue. Wow, very good. So what you notice that the div or the div section which contains the image, the name, and the profession now have a light blue background color. Let me maximize the web page so you can see it efficiently. So this means that all these spaces is what our div contains. Our div contains all these spaces. Our div is taking up all these spaces. Now that is a whole lot of space just for a profile card. So we are going to maximize this also. We don't want this to be. But before we start doing that, let me add some attributes to the body of the elements, because in the HTML we have a body. Now I want to style this body using CSS. So I'm going to go to body. Very good. So the background color for the body, let me pick gray. But I don't want it to be gray. So I'm going to use the HSL to make it a little bit light gray. Very good. So this is my background color now. I now have the background color. Also, I want to change the display because my div is currently taking up a whole lot of space. I don't want it to take up all the spaces. So I'm going to change the display. Let me change the display to flex. Very good. So after changing the display to flex, you see the div is now taking up not as much space as it was taking up earlier on. So we have the display to be flex. let me go back to my profile. I want to change this color. So I'm going to have color. So I want linear gradients. So I want this to be a touch of blue and a touch of red. So that will be blue and that will be red. Good. This is nice. Let me touch it up a little bit. This blue and then this red. Good. Good. So I now have a gradient color for my background. Next thing I want to do now is I want to adjust the items on my profile so it can fit to the center, because if you observe my front end, my name, even the image, they are sticking to the left hand corner of the web page. I don't want it to be at the left hand corner. I want it to be in the middle. So what do I do to make my items to be at the middle? I'm going to click on text align center. So notice that when I click on text align center, everything now falls into the middle. I now have spaces at the left and the right. But my profile card is still at the top left. I want it to be at the middle, not just at the top left. So vertically, I'm going to move it to the middle by clicking on justify. Horizontally, I'll move it to the middle using justify content center. Justify content center. That should move the card to the middle horizontally. So after moving it to the middle horizontally, I also want to move it to the middle vertically. So to move it to the middle vertically, that will be align items center. So the next thing, I want to choose the rate or the size of the screen in which I want this card to be at the center. So I want it to be at the center of my full screen. So to choose my full screen, I'm going to make the height of the body 100 VH. Very good. Notice that the profile card now moves straight down to the what? It moves straight down to the middle of the web page. My profile card is now at the middle of my web page. But one of the things I'm noticing now is that I'm having sharp edges. I'm having sharp edges. Now I want these edges to be a little bit curved, so you can add a little bit of touch of design to that. So to make my edges curved, I'm going to go to the profile, then I'll click on border radius. So the border radius, I want it to be 20 pixels. Very good. Notice that after adding the border radius to it, my edges are now curved. And this looks a little bit fanciful, nice. But my image is touching the head of my profile card. I want there to be spaces between my image and the edge of the profile card. So that there will be spaces between my name and the edge of the profile card. I want there to be spaces at the left, the right, top, and the bottom. So how do I add these spaces to it? I can easily add those spaces to it by using padding. So now I'm going to click on padding and adding 2 REM. So I made the padding like 200% of the spaces. So now good. I now have spaces at the left, the right, the top, and the bottom. I have spaces. But my image is looking like a square. Yeah, it's looking like a square. I want it to be a little bit round so it can be a little bit more attractive. So to do that, I'll go to the avatar, then I'll go to the border radius, and I want to make this border radius 50%. Very good. My image is now spherical. That is a bit attractive. So I want to add some border to it. So let me go to border 2px. Let me make it solid so it can be visible. And then the color of this border, I want to make it black. Color of this border, I want to make it what? I want to make it black. Good. So this is what we have now. We now have the profile card with spaces. The border around the image is also black. Very good. This is nice. This is attractive. This is cool. So we just created a profile card using the power of HTML and CSS. This is nice, but let's touch it up a little bit. Let's add some over effect to it so that anytime I place my mouse on this profile card, I want to change these colors. So how can we do that? We can do that by adding the over effect. And so add the over effect, we'll go back to our hash profile. So call on the ID of the profile, semicolon, over. Semicolon, over. Then I want to change the background color. Background. So I want to make it linear gradients. So the first one, I want it to be black. Then apart from black, I want to add some tomato color to that. Tomato. Good. So let me choose the black I want. Let me choose this black. And then for the tomato color, oh sorry, let me do this so you can see my full screen. Then for the tomato color, let me pick this. Good. Good. So anytime I hold around the image now, let's see what we have. Good. So we now have this hover effect whenever we hover around this. So another thing I want to do now is that this taking place almost immediately. I want there to be a little bit of time in between the time I place my mouse on the image and the time the image changes. So to add some little bit of delay to that, I'm going to click on transition. Transition. So I want you to transition after 0.5 seconds, and I want it to be very good. So notice another thing I want to change whenever I hover around, I want to change the color. So instead of black, I want the color. I want the color to be white. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, sorry. Color. White. So the text color should change to white anytime my mouse is on the image. So let's very good. Very good. So what have we done today? Today we created a profile card and we were able to insert our image into this profile card using the img elements in our HTML. And we also styled this profile card using CSS so it can be attractive. We added gradients color to it. Now we have our name, we have the profession, and anytime we hover above this profile card, that is anytime our mouse is on this profile card, it changes the color of the background. It also changes the color of the text. So this is what we have. So Festus Works front end developer. Try to do this, try to play around this, try to design this. So anything you have, let me know. And if you have any question, I'm always here to attend to your questions. So now we've been working with HTML, we've been working. Let's do some JavaScript magic. So since it's the first time we'll be coding using JavaScript, JavaScript language that enables us to add functionality to our web page. So it is only right if we do the it is customary that the first code that we write in JavaScript should be the hello world code. That is a way of showing that we can program using JavaScript. So let's start using the console.log. Anytime you want to write a code and you want it to show in the terminal of using JavaScript, use console.log. So let's click on console.log, open brackets. You can choose to use backtick. You can use single column or double column. I'll be using double column. Hello world. Now notice that this hello world does not display in our web page. That is because it's displayed in the terminal. And to access the terminal, we have to click on our web page. We'll go to inspect. Then in inspect, you click on this console. And here you are. This is your hello world code. So congratulations on writing your first code using JavaScript. So that is the what? That is the hello world. So we send text to our console using console.log, or you send text to the terminal. So apart from this, let's do some things. If you say x equals to 5, here where the x is the variable, I am now attributing the value of 5 to this variable. If you now say console.log console.log open bracket x, what do you think is going to, what will be our output? Well, is this going to be x or is it going to be 5? So one of the things we have to do before we use any variable, we have to declare it. So let's make this let x. Very good. So now it is undefined. Oh, okay, good. You can see that now have, let me maximize it. We now have 5. So let's try another variable. Let's y. So let's y is our way of declaring the variable. Now to attribute a value or to allocate a value to this variable, we can say y equals 2 multiplied by 10. Then we have does log y. So what are we going to have now? Let's see. So now you have what? You have 20. So what this simply means is that anything you write in your JavaScript file, when you click on console.log, it's going to send it to the what? To the terminal. So let's do a little bit of, let's add JavaScript code to our profile card. So to do that, we are going to let's profile. Okay, we just declared the profile. Now I want the profile to be equal to document dot document dot get element by id. What is the id in our HTML? In our HTML, the id of profile is what? Profile. That makes it super easy. That will be double column profile. Now, what we want to code here is that anytime we click on this elements card, we want the background color to change to white, and then we want the text color to change to black anytime we click on it. Is that possible? Let's see. So that will be profile dot on click. Profile dot on click is equal to function open brackets curly braces. So anytime we click on the profile or anytime we click on the profile card, what do we want to occur? So we want to change the color of the profile. So that will be profile dot style dot background color should be equal to white. Very good. Why the text color should be equal to black dot style dot background no profile dot star dot color will now be equal to black. So let's see how that works out. First of all, let me maximize it. So this card that we created, anytime we hover around this, the color changes to this gradient color, and then the text color changes to white. But now if you click on it, according to the JavaScript that we just wrote, okay, the text color is changing to black, but the background color is not changing to white. Let's see how we can fix that. Okay, profile the star. Wow, they did not change function. Okay, I'll try to check whatever the problem is over there. Let me change this to yellow. Good. Oh, great. So, what have we done today? So today we created a profile card using our HTML. We styled this card using our CSS to give us so that anytime we hover above the card, we have a change in our background color. We also have a change in the text color from black to white. Then we added some Java the text color changes to yellow from what? From white. If you refresh that, we have our profile color back. Then whenever we hover around it, we have this change in coloration. And when we click on it, we also have this change in coloration. Thank you so much. So that is all we have today. I look forward to having you in our subsequent days. So if you have any question, kindly feel free to drop it. If you have any suggestion, ideas. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for being with me. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and comment. Have a nice day. So we're ending the live now.